Well, hey everybody, it's your good buddy 650 Eve here. Welcome to season 5 of the new bike build series. This season we're using a 2020 BMW S1000RR and a 2019 Aprilia RSV 1100 factory. With the help of our amazing channel sponsor, the magnificent Miami Manny from MOTO Million, we are transforming both of those bikes into something truly special and amazing. At the end of the build series, we're giving the winner of season 5 the option to pick one of those motorcycles to keep for his or herself. The other one we will use for season 6 of the new bike build series, along with another 1000cc motorcycle. But if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you're already a subscriber, tap that bell and you'll get notified when new content is uploaded. Today, we got something really special going on here at Sills. We have the ECU removed from the 2020 S1000RR. We had it flashed by our good friend Floyd at X-Works. And now, today, we're going to reinstall it back into the bike. Zach's going to take it out and give us his impressions on it, and then I'm going to put it on the street and tell you how it feels. Hey, Zach.
How's it going?
All
So
right.
it's better than one ECU, two ECUs.
Yes.
We're going to plug them all in and we're going to have twice the power.
Woo!
It's going to be great.
I wish it worked that way, Zach.
Yeah. No, so what we do is we have one here with a flash from
X-Works.
X-Works, and then we have a stock one. So we didn't show pulling this out. I don't think. Maybe there's a quick video.
No, I didn't show it yet.
All right, so no video for that. So we had to pull the upper triple tree because they needed the EWS ring in order to flash these to get the key code. So we got that off. We got our ECU out. Pretty much just pull the airbox cover. This holder was a little bit tedious, but not too bad. All right, so we got our bolt back in. Triple trees installed. We don't need to put this cover on just for riding, since you guys are going to be messing around in there anyway. And everything looks routed up.
So you got the bike hooked up to your computer?
Yeah, we hooked it up. It identified as a normal bike. Don't really see any issues. We do have...
Shows the VIN number?
Yeah. We do have one fault code for the exhaust flap servo motor.
Okay.
But we have a servo buddy, so we'll go ahead, pop that exhaust flap servo motor off, plug the servo buddy in, and let's see if the fault code goes away.
Okay. I hear that ferocious bike. Woo! Love those. I love the popping and crackle it sounds. Hopefully Zach has something good to say about this ECU flash from X-Works and Manny at MOTO Million.
Before we had an exhaust flap servo motor fault code that was in there. I went ahead, cleared it, took it for that test ride, and as you can see, fault memory not present. So it didn't return, no other fault codes, no lights on the dash. And what I really wanted to say when I was still super excited from riding it before was that the throttle is a lot more, it doesn't have that dead feeling. What you're telling it to do, it does now.
Okay.
There was almost like you were riding a bike with too much throttle cable free play. I feel like that's kind of how this throttle felt initially, and now that's gone. It's like someone took the free play out, and what you're telling the throttle to do, the bike's doing.
Nice.
Where before there was this hesitation of, what did he do? You know? So that's gone.
All right, so the S1000's on the dyno, and we're going to verify that it has 40 pounds of tire pressure. Yep, 40 pounds. And we have the stock ECU in the bike right now. We're going to see how it performs on the dyno, and then we'll put the X-Works flashed ECU in the bike. Connor just ran the bike on the dyno here at Ducati Detroit with the stock ECU in the machine. And we can clearly see on the dyno graph here that we ran the bike in second through fifth gear. Second gear is here on the bottom in pink. And you can see there's a noticeable flat spot up until about 8,500 RPM. And then the bike comes to life and it just shoots off like a rocket. And that happens in third gear as well, which is in green. It gets a little better in fourth gear, and in fifth gear, it's not that bad at all. But that is the flat spot in second and third gear that everyone's been talking about that is affecting the 2020 S1000RRs in the United States. And you can see the bike still produces a lot of power, 191 horsepower in fifth gear, which is pretty good because this is a pretty accurate and fair dyno here at Ducati Detroit. So those numbers are pretty darn good. But now we're going to take out the ECU, the stock ECU, and we're going to insert the X-Works flashed ECU. And hopefully we'll see on this dyno that that flat spot is no longer there. And we might even see more power. All right, so Connor's back and we've got the flashed ECU from our good friends at X-Works and Manny at Motul Million. This ECU has removed all the restrictions, and we're going to see here in just a second if it improves the flat spot and if it adds more power. Now, in order to get these ECUs done, we had to have them keyed to the BMW S1000 key specific to this motorcycle. So just so you guys know, you can't just have an ECU flashed. It has to be keyed to the specific bike. So both of these ECUs are keyed to our 2020 S1000 right here, and you can see the key still works for the stock ECU. We're not going to take that key out of the ignition. We're going to change the ECU here, and then we'll show it again. Now I'm putting you under pressure to see how fast you can actually swap the ECU. Oh wow, that one's out. All right, so this is the stock ECU. It says it right there, 650E stock. You can see there's the other one, flashed ECU. Here they are, side by side. We're not playing games. Thank you, Mr. Connor. Again, the key has not been removed. Both of these ECUs are keyed to this particular S1000RR. You got it done, man?
Good to go.
All right, let's see what happens when you turn the key on. Nice. So no error messages or anything. I rode this bike yesterday with the new ECU in there. Oh, we do have an error message, low fuel. But that has nothing to do with the ECU. We'll put some fuel in this thing. We'll run it on a dyno. We could run it now with it's got 34 miles of fuel left, and we'll just continue to run it. But no error messages or anything. I'm going to switch it over to Race Pro 1 because the first bike that we dynoed with the stock ECU was in Race Pro 1. So to keep things the same, it's in Race Pro 1. I'm going to turn off the traction because I turned it off the first time. We'll turn it off. There it is. Whoop, traction off. There we go. Traction's off. And now we are ready to dyno this bike. 40. Thank you, Connor. We ran the bikes on the dyno. Now you can see we have second gear pulls from both the stock ECU, which is in green, and the Xworks flashed ECU, which is in red. At 7,500 RPM, you can clearly see here on the dyno, there is a 44 horsepower difference between the bikes. And that is the flat spot that everyone's been talking about with the stock ECU. 44 horsepower difference. That is pretty freaking amazing. And then this graph just looks better all the way up and to the red line. It's just producing more power throughout. And you heard it when it was on the dyno. It just totally accelerates with the flash ECU a lot better than it did with the stock ECU. So that's second gear. Connor, can we look at torque differences between the two? So again, we can see massive differences here. 44 foot-pounds of torque, 76 foot-pounds of torque at about 7,500 RPM. That's just, what do you have to say? I mean, it's amazing.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's the amount of power he was able to extract doing this flash. It's unreal, and it's a very usable portion of the power band.
Yes.
Making the bike have that much more linear of a power curve. And it was a noticeable difference on the dyno. As soon as I cracked the throttle in second gear with the flash ECU, this thing pulled like a freight train.
Yes.
And that's not something you can normally feel on the dyno, but the fact that there's 40 horsepower difference is huge.
Wow, it certainly is. Can we examine, that's second gear. How about third gear? So yeah, if you can't tell, I'm really excited and really pleased with the results of the Xworks flashed ECU, and I think it's great that you're able to see this data real time on a neutral dyno. We're here at Ducati Detroit. They're not affiliated with BMW in any way, shape, or form. So here we have third gear. In red, the stock ECU, 78 horsepower, and the Xworks flash ECU, 110, basically 111 horsepower at 7,500 RPM. Still very, very amazing. And I like the way that the flashed ECU, the curve is pretty clean, huh?
That's what you're looking for when you have any type of flash. You want to not only extract the most power you can from the bike, but also make that power curve nice and smooth, nice and linear.
Yes.
That way you can get the power to the ground a lot easier.
Yep. So we just talked about second and third gear. It got too hot in this dyno room for us to really give a fair comparison of a fifth gear pull from the stock ECU to the Xworks flash ECU. So we're going to allow the dyno room to cool off, and we're going to come back and do one more pull in fifth gear on the S1000RR with the Xworks ECU in there, and we're going to compare that to the stock ECU. Connor just rolled off our 2020 S1000RR from their amazing dyno here at Ducati Detroit. Let's take a look at the fifth gear pulls on the bike. Not that much of a difference. You can see about 5 horsepower difference at 7,500 RPM, but fifth and sixth gear on this bike have always been just fine, even with the stock ECU, so there wasn't that much of a difference. I hope you enjoyed this video showing what happens when you unlock the ECU on a 2020 BMW S1000RR. Removed all the restrictions and totally turned that motorcycle into an amazing, fast machine. Information on how you can get your ECU flashed through Xworks and Manny at Moto Million is in the description. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you're already a subscriber, tap that bell and you'll get notified when new content is uploaded. I'm about to pull that bike out and ride it on these filthy streets, engage in some smackdowns and really enjoy the beautiful, fast machine that it is right now. It really would have been nice if that bike came from the factory with the ECU the way it is now, unlocked and unchained. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll catch you guys next time on the 650eb YouTube channel.